I don't need to get my bag on the table.
Call the meeting to order. I would like to welcome everyone to our November 3rd, 2014 Board of Education meeting. And everyone, I think, is present. We'll have our Pledge of Allegiance. Jill.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gracious.
Wow.
At this time, we'll have a moment of silence, and what we will do is just continue to remember our students and staff and always think about the safety of them. And we also need to think and pray about our country and that we have a good outcome and everybody will support and vote tomorrow and be a part of that. And we need to remember parents and the things that they do for our school system and their safety also. Let's have a moment of silence. Amen. Let's see the adjustments to the agenda. We have one item that needs to be added, and that would be Aiden Middle School robotics team. That'll be number 4 under Spotlight on Teaching. I hear a motion.
Chairman, I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second. Any discussion about this item? Voting to add this item to the agenda? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve routine business?
You got the motion. I make it.
Second.
Benji made the motion. Mark seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right. Public expression? Okay. Who is it? Caroline? All right. Caroline Doherty.
Hi, I'm Caroline Doherty. I'm here representing Parents for Public Schools of Pitt County. I'm the Vice President. I'm here to give your quarterly update. It's the first time we've addressed you this year. As you know, our mission is to strengthen Pitt County Public Schools by engaging, educating, and mobilizing our community. We're governed by a volunteer board of diverse backgrounds and talents, and we are pleased to have 3 major partners: Pitt County Schools, United Way of Pitt County, and the Greenville-Pitt Chamber of Commerce. Currently have over 300 members. They receive monthly newsletters from us at the local level and our national chapter, Parents for Public Schools. They also get invitations to special events. As you know, we started out the year with a bang, co-sponsoring with you, the United Way and the Chamber, the Education Network Luncheon, where over 280 teachers and business leaders attended and were seated together so they could collaborate. We hope to sponsor more of these events with you and our partners, where teachers and business and industry leaders can not only learn from each other, but look together for ways to support innovative teaching and create new opportunities for our students that expose them to viable career possibilities here in Pitt County. We have some great news. We learned late in the summer we received a 2-year grant from a major funder in North Carolina, the Z. Smith Reynolds Foundation. And that is to support our 3 major programs: community conversations, school tours, and the parent engagement program. I'll take a minute to speak about those. Community conversations are based on our belief that the first step towards creating positive change is to gather input and insights on current issues from all stakeholders. Community conversations are held with parents and businesses and other community members who want to share their perspectives, their concerns, and their ideas for strengthening our schools in an informal and friendly environment, not in front of a board or being televised. Comfortable is the idea. To date, we've held 10 community conversations with 160 people, including parents, educators, community leaders, We've learned a great deal about their experiences and their perspectives. We've held them in schools, in businesses, Boys and Girls Clubs, Latino Center, and with service organizations such as the Kiwanis. Next week, we have community conversations scheduled with the Rotary Club and with the staff of a local industry during their lunch break. School tours is our second major initiative. It's designed for people to visit public schools in a guided format with other interested parties, such as business leaders, elected officials, community leaders, and parents who are considering enrolling their children in the public schools. School tours help people see for themselves what our public schools are like and the opportunities that they offer. All tours are coordinated through the schools with Brock Letchworth, who is, of course, the PCS liaison on our board. We led a school tour last month with several community leaders who were very impressed with the STEM labs and the other things that they saw for their own eyes what our schools are doing. Our tours are scheduled monthly throughout the year. Our last major initiative is called PEP, Parent Engagement Program. It's the Leadership Institute, which is basically a class for parents developed by PPS that seeks to improve student achievement, increase parent engagement, and enhance school and parent collaboration. Our PEP trainings are conducted by local facilitators and supported by a PEP coordinator, all trained by the National PPS Office. Our trainings are designed to educate and energize participants on a wide range of topics such as learning styles, school funding, data, accountability, core curriculum. Right now we have 18 amazing participants who are enrolled in our inaugural class, which met for the first time in mid-October. They're scheduled to meet one day a month for the rest of the year. They're going to graduate in this room in April. We hope you all will come. We have truly high-quality participants who really are excited about learning more about public education and how they can partner both with the teachers in their classroom, with their schools, and with the education system together. Lastly, PCS strategic planning. We are thrilled to have been invited to participate at the strategic planning stakeholder meetings. Our president, Kathy Herring, and our executive director, Carolyn Reed, represented our chapter in that process. We're also sharing the collective findings of our 10 community conversations and any more that we'll be having with your administration to augment your decision-making in the strategic planning. We were really happy to have Dr. Linker attend our first annual member network meeting last week. He presented the strategic planning process and findings to date. We had about 50 members who were in attendance, who stayed the whole time, and we're very appreciative that you stayed the whole time and took questions from them. Our members are thrilled to provide strategic plan input by working in small groups on specific questions from your stakeholder meetings. It is just this sort of engagement that we as a chapter hope to continue to foster, because we know that when parents and teachers and the community work together, we all win.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carolyn. Appreciate that update. Okay. Well, really, we don't have a question. Y'all come on in. On behalf of the Pitt County Board of Education, South Central Culinary Arts Department, we really appreciate you folks, and this is just a sample of what the culinary arts do in our schools, and I'm sure board members really enjoyed it.
It was good.
They look like they did anyway.
Good evening. A couple things tonight. First, wanted to bring to your attention one of our schools was recently named a Title I reward school by the state. Elmhurst Elementary was, these folks can start walking in a little bit here. Represented tonight by Principal Colleen Bird, Assistant Principal Tracy Gibbs, and several staff members. If y'all could just kind of come over here by me so we can get. We want to see your faces on the camera. Elmhurst was one of 78 schools in the state to be named a Title I Reward School. Reward School is one that has been identified by the state as being in the top 10% for two categories, either one of the highest performing schools, or being a high progress school. This is the second straight year. If you all recall, last year we had a couple schools in here, Northwest and Creekside, who are in this distinction. And I'm going to let Ms. Burt briefly talk to you about this. And I think she's got an explanation for why she feels the school earned this.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I've only been at Elmhurst for a year. This is my second year, so I can't take credit for all of the hard work that was done before me. However, I can say that after being at Elmhurst, there is a tradition of excellence there for anybody that has had children that have gone there or they have worked there. And Elmhurst is a unique small school that continues that tradition of excellence. And now being in the heart of Elmhurst, I see why. So this afternoon in our lengthy staff meeting, I asked the staff to reflect, and we did a thinking map about why we thought Elmhurst was such an extraordinary school. And the staff got together and wrote their ideas. It didn't take them more than 4 or 5 minutes to get all of these wonderful ideas out. But one theme that was consistent was dedication, teamwork, and family, holding high expectations, and just caring about children and sticking together. But family and teamwork were the themes that we saw throughout the whole staff. So I just want to commend them because the teachers at Elmhurst work so hard, and it's because of them. They make my job easier, and they make the children at Elmhurst so successful. So thank you.
County Board of Education, so happy with what you've done, and we proudly recognize you with Elmhurst Elementary School for creating excellence in the East and all the hard work that you did. And but anyway, we do appreciate all that you do. It takes a team to be able to do something like this.
Maybe they get you on Facebook tonight.
We trying to get in there.
Yeah, I'm getting that. I
Photo bomb.
He's trying to get him big so he can't see me.
Free advertisement.
We don't want to spread out. You out of order. Benji, you out of order.
Thing they call a photo bomb.
Okay, next I'm going to introduce J.H. Rose, high school math teacher named Ms. Jennifer Mabe, and she's going to talk to you a little bit, provide a brief overview and demonstration on how she uses the concept of a spin classroom to teach. So Ms. Mabe would come on up.
Thank you guys for letting me come speak tonight. Thank you, Dr. Linker, for coming to my classroom and seeing some good things that are going on. Let me pull this up real quick. All right. So basically what I want to just talk about is spending in the classroom. It's just a concept that I've used. I'm on the school improvement team at Rose High School, and one of the goals that's been passed down to us is to deliver a personalized education to all students. It's kind of a broad goal, and looking at it as a teacher, I'm trying to figure out how I can do that in my own classroom. And I had the benefit of attending Tech Fest this past summer, which as a math teacher, technology, I've always been very leery of that. I mean, how can it actually help? I feel like I'm doing things that are working right now. God bless you. And so what I saw was actually something really cool. Well, first of all, let me tell you who I teach. I don't teach honors math. Right now I'm teaching my year-long babies. They are my babies. They're a very diverse range of learners. I've got people who are true freshmen. I've also got students who have been multiple year repeaters in the same class. So it's very diverse. I've got a broad range of ability there. I have those hard to engage students. And once I get them engaged, it's hard to keep them engaged. If something happens, usually that just kind of takes their attention away. And I also have students who tend to be consistently weak in math. So that's my target audience. I also teach discrete math and teach different things throughout the year. But right now, this is consistently who I'm teaching. When I went to Tech Fest, I saw some social studies teachers, so I can't take complete credit. I've just adapted it. Some social studies teachers at South Central were using this, and I thought, maybe I can do this in my classroom. I don't know. Let's see how it works. And basically what it involves, has anybody in here heard of spinning? No. Okay. What you've probably heard of is flipping. Has anybody heard of flipping? Okay. And basically that's pre-recording lessons, having the students go home, watch the lesson on their own device, coming back in and having the next day to do activities, collaboration, and all that stuff. Well, if you just saw the kind of audience that I'm teaching to, a lot of them do not have cell phones, they don't have computers, they have no internet access. So what spinning does is instead of watching the videos for homework, you watch them during class. So it's kind of like teaching but on video, which is kind of weird because you're thinking, well, the teacher's there, why can't she teach anyways? So, right, I know. So there's actually a portal that I use. It's not just YouTube. I know my students very well. I know if I were to give them a video to watch, they would be listening to YouTube channels, music playing, they'd be fast forwarding, trying just to get the gist, not really paying attention. So there's this tool called educanon.com, and basically what it does is it allows me to create my own videos. So it's personalized. It's Miss Maeve teaching to them in the language that I use every day. But I'm able to insert little checkpoints at certain places to check for understanding. I can create questions. So I want you to try this on your own. You'll see an example in a minute. And they have to get through these checkpoints to move on. They can't fast forward. That's the coolest part. I think Dr. Linker was most impressed with the fact that I can monitor student progress as I'm going on. I've got my computer open up on my teaching podium, and as they're going, it's a live screen. I'll show you what it looks like in a second. Green means they're getting the questions correct, red, incorrect. So when I see red, I'm going to see those students and see what they're doing and try to correct what they're doing right there on the spot. We're a data-driven society, right? We want to see how we're making leaps and bounds achievements. And so I can tell you whether or not my students are getting it before they actually take the test. So here's an example of what a lesson looks like. I'm not going to bore you with watching the whole thing, just so you can see. This is a lesson at educanon.com.
Hey guys, today we're going.
Okay, that's about all you need to hear of me. But what happens is, this is my lesson.
They might give me a heart
These
attack.
little orange things down here are checkpoints where I've inserted in questions. So I can fast forward because I'm a teacher. But what will happen is if they get closer to here, this is what's going to happen.
So, pause the video here, work on these problems, and then when you are done and have tried your best and answered them on the computer, you can continue on.
And a question pops up. They can't go on unless they answer the question. Well, most students would just check a question just to move on. Well, I'm monitoring it, and this is what it looks like when I'm monitoring it, up here. Okay, so I can select my classes. I can select whatever one I've done. I think this is the one that I did the most. Live feedback. Green means they've gotten the answers correct. Red means they're doing it incorrectly. So I can look across and see which students got it. I can also look down and see which questions are giving them the most concern. And I can look back at that question and think, what in the world was I trying to assess in that problem? This tool has been phenomenal for me. I'll show you an example of what it looks like in my classroom. This is what it looks like in my classroom. And there is sound. What do you hear? Silence. That is what it, okay, now I like talking in my classroom, I like collaboration, but when they're learning, I like it to be quiet. A student just asked me to use the bathroom. Usually when that happens, I'll leave the class for at least a good 3 minutes because they're watching her get out and all this stuff. I guess it's starting again. She walks up and nobody sees it. They're working at their own pace. I'm able, during this lesson, I was trying to assess whether or not they knew how to find the slope of a line. So I sat down with students who I knew were having trouble. The rest of the class was moving forward, and I was actually able to do that, which is really cool, because if I do that in a regular classroom, if I've given them an assignment, they're going to talk. They're going to get off task for the most part, no matter how good I am at classroom management. So this is a really cool thing for me. I'm just walking around trying to assess in the classroom. These are reasons why I do it. Talk about that. It creates more time for learning and in less time. So a lesson that would normally take me a 90-minute class period, I condense it into 15 or 30 minutes. I don't have the distractions of having to sharpen a pencil, getting called down. Anything that happens in the classroom, students are still learning. Students are learning at their own pace. I got those high-level learners, and I also have the low-level learners. So the ones who go ahead and get the lesson done, I've got something else for them to do. So I'm taking them, and they're not just sitting there getting bored and getting in trouble. They're getting higher grades. They're moving on to more difficult material. And then for those who need more help, I'm actually there to actually give it to them. This is the best part. I think Miss Untitled came and visited my class, and she said, you know, it's kind of like you're your own teacher assistant. And that's what it feels like. They've got one-to-one instruction throughout the class period. Then they have me walking around to check for understanding as well. So instead of 30 or 35 to 1 like I've got now, it's more like 1 to 1. So things that I'm going to be doing, I've already shared with colleagues in my department. Got 3 or 4 other teachers that are using this, trying to help them get through some of the struggles. It takes a little while at first to get it going, but it gets better as you go. I've already presented at the faculty meeting at our school. I'm thinking about helping some other teachers in the district. I've communicated with them and told them how excited I was about it. I plan on presenting to the state conference next year, and then who knows? We'll see where this goes. But anyway, if y'all have any questions, you can.
Any questions? Miss
I
Mary?
do.
Oh no.
I do. I am thrilled.
Good.
I am thrilled. Free thinkers.
Yes.
They are free thinkers. And they are not bothering. They are collaborating not only with you, but with each other. How? No problems, no discipline.
And these kids, I have the ones that are long-term suspended, and you know, they're the tough kids, and I reach them. You know, speaking of which, if they're absent, they can pull this up on their own time. If they're in ISS, they can watch this in ISS. And you know, once we get done with the lessons, we are doing higher-level thinking skills. So if I do this for 30 minutes at the beginning of class, I've got the rest of the class period to actually extend the lesson. So, I'm excited.
All right. Thanks.
Great.
Awesome, thank you.
Yes. Tech.
Books.
Yes. Yes.
That's the biggest smile I've had this week.
Yes. Free.
Okay, lastly this evening, I'm going to call some middle schoolers down for us.
Go.
From Ayton Middle School. If I could get Iris Mayer, Daphne Mayer, Caroline Congleton, Brianna Moore, Lauren Arnold, Paige Stallings, and Ava Hunt. Come up here.
Love the green hair.
These ladies are a part of one of the Ayton Middle School, or a couple of Ayton Middle School robotics teams. Ayton Middle won a recent middle school robotics competition held at Hope Middle 2 weeks ago. There were more than 100 students who competed from each of our 12 middle schools. Essentially, this goes back to about 6 weeks ago when the groups got together for a preliminary competition and tested their robots that they created, which they brought in here, and kind of figured out what worked with them and what did not work, and then went back to the drawing board. On the competition day, they had a chance they had an hour and a half to put together the robots and then put them into competition, which was a sumo-style competition where they had to push the other team's robots out of a 5x5 square or either capture a cube and put it in a box and all kinds of complicated things that are way over my head. The hope is that the students will take this stuff back to school, explain a little bit about what they did with these materials, and maybe inspire some others to become interested in robotics as well at the middle school level. So just join me in congratulating these young ladies for their accomplishments.
I think their parents
parents want to get pictures of them. Have them turn, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get it.
There you go.
Okay, turn around.
Congratulations. I think you're going there.
Good job, good job. I will. I will, anytime.
It was a clean sweep. They won the whole thing. Wow. All girls team, we won it all. That's great. Got a little small.
Thank you. Wow, I cleaned them out, didn't
Okay, at this time, we got some special recognition. You would close that door, please. Okay, we have the Academy Award for presenting. Jill. Jill's been on the board, let's see, December 1996, and December 2014, 18 years. And presented Jill Camden, grateful appreciation for 18 years of dedicated service to the students and employees of Pitt County Schools. December 1996, December 2014, we take all you've done and all the time spent in helping the students.
This is sort of bittersweet. Actually, it's going to be a big change in my life, but I'm going to miss it. And mostly, I just want to say what an honor it has been to serve the students and the teachers and the staff at Pitt County Schools. And I hope I've done some good.
You've been on the board since July 2000 through December 2014, and that's 14 years and 6 months. Right. Make sure that we do everybody in 6 months. So with grateful appreciation for 14 years and 6 months of dedicated service to the students and employees of Pitt County Schools. Thank you for all you've done. Appreciate all the hard work and our service. Six years. And grateful appreciation for 6 years. Dedicated service.
Well, I want to thank the constituents of District 5 for voting for me and electing me when they did. And it was an honor to serve them and the students of Pitt County Schools. And it's been an interesting service. to the schools, but I do think that a lot of things have been accomplished, and one thing that I wish that could be accomplished more is that more parents and more those will consider Pitt County schools first to educate their children. I know there's a lot of options out there, but I think Pitt County schools is the best option to educate our children, and I wish more people would consider it first. Hopefully that'll be done in the future. But thank you for the opportunity to constituent 5 and all those I've served with. Thank you.
All right, Christine, December 10th, August to August 14th, 3 years and 8 months. And with grateful appreciation for 3 years and 8 months of dedicated service to the students and boys of Pitt County Schools. Thank you for what you've done. And an opportunity to appreciate hard work and all those officers dedicated to Pitt County Schools.
My service was a drop in the bucket compared to my esteemed colleagues. But if you count all the years I put in the classroom, I think maybe I've earned this. But this is the hardest part about the is severing these ties. But interestingly enough, I've already encountered people that I knew in Winston-Salem when I taught there for 5 years, and some of my former students are there, and those ties never die. So I wish you all the very best, and my heart will be with you the whole way. Thank you.
Looks like you're getting rid of the women.
No comment on that. I know better. Let's see, motion to approve consent items.
So moved.
This, council, made a motion and Mark second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? New business, we had the EPS committee update. Mark and Cheryl.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
I'd like to say, y'all would be missed. We were just talking out there about it. It'd be a little bit strange not to see a big crowd. Okay, on October the 20th, 2014, Educational Programs and Services held their board committee meeting. Mr. Richard called the meeting to order. There were 3 topics on the agenda that we discussed. The first topic we discussed 2 procedures that related to instructional resources and the selection of those. We had an incident occur at a school where a parent had questioned some of our processes for video being viewed. And so the board committee thought that it was a good time for us to review that policy, look at the different policies that pertain to it to determine if any changes need to be made. We looked at 9.401-P. It relates to guidelines for the process of challenging an instructional resource. We reviewed those. We also looked at procedure 9.401-P2, which is the procedure for the use of video recording specifically. And so we looked at the statements within that procedure, which talks about the ratings that can be viewed with videos in the different grade configurations, elementary school, middle school, and high school. There was a lot of discussion about those. Mr. DeCreasy added some discussion about when those procedures were originally written and what was the intent behind it. And after quite much deliberation, it was decided that the procedures that were there had appropriate guidelines that were for public view, that resources could be challenged if they needed to be challenged, and the process for doing that. And then also we were asked to make sure that the principals were aware of the different guidelines and that they just a refresher course for them, so that we'll be doing that in the principal meeting. The second agenda item, we went through pretty deeply, the test scores and the results for Pitt County schools. We looked at the K-8 data, we looked at the 9-12 data, and all the data that deals with the accountability of the different schools. And then we discussed the different changes that had been made at the district level pertaining to addressing some of the weaknesses that we saw, some of the concerns that we saw, but also some of the things that were really good with the data. Some of those things I'm going to touch on tonight. I'm actually going to cover the school improvement plan template tonight that we're using and how it can be viewed. Today is the first day that all schools had to have the link to their school improvement plans posted on their website and available for review. They should be already approved and voted on by the staff. And so I'm going to go through that in a few minutes. We also looked at some of the things we're doing with the principals. We're looking at qualities that affect the teachers, at the book study we're doing every month with the principals. We changed some of the expectations that we've set forth for principals were the instructional round process, and I may bring that in a little bit more in depth later on in a committee meeting about what that entails. Also, we require common formative assessments to be given across grade levels and departments. Schools are having PLCs and the minutes for those, and how do we check, and we're doing training with principals, and how do we look at effectiveness for those. And then the power standards, which is digging deep into the standards and figuring out the priorities for the different standards, because there's so many that have to be covered and how long they should cover. We talked about how we've changed the format. Our curriculum coaches used to be designated as K-12, and how that's a wide reach for a person to be able to help. And so our 9-12 director, Bill Frazier, has gone in and pulled in department chairs that are meeting monthly and looking at the data for their departments, and then bringing them together as a lead, like a faculty senate. And so then that allowed us to take our curriculum coaches to a K-8 level where they can focus on K-8. We're also, Dr. Jackson and myself are trying to do a 5x5 model, which means we visit 5 schools every week. And when we go into the schools, we're looking at the things that we've asked the schools to do, which is the instructional rounds, PLC minutes, what do their common formative assessments look like, what are they doing with the data from those, how are they addressing weaknesses. And we're doing all right. We're missing a few as we go along. Like this week we're in meetings all week, so we're doing pretty good. But anyway, we looked pretty in depth at our testing results and had some good training sessions. The third thing that was on the agenda was really quick. It's just to let you know that we are presenting next week to the faculty at Belleville the idea and concept of a dual immersion program along with the global school. Dual immersion is a small little piece of what a global school would be like, and that's where you have the Spanish class and English class. And so they recommend it to keep that from becoming a haves and have-nots for the kids who are in that program, that you create a whole global school where you're studying all around the world in each grade level. So we're actually going to do a presentation next week to the Belleville faculty to see how they feel about it, what their take is on it. Are they committed to possibly going down that road? And then we'll be coming back to the board to talk about it. So, any questions about the update?
Sure, Ms. Council.
Edgecombe County has a global program, and we had a chance to look at that at a meeting recently, and that's one of the best I've heard of, so just want to check that out too as well.
I think Dr. Linker's already been to the Oh, yeah, you
Okay.
mentioned that.
Yeah, it was excellent.
We've actually visited a school, Hope Elementary in Durham, that has a population similar to Belleville. They're global with dual immersion. No, they don't have a dual immersion program. Global piece of it. But we're also looking at a couple more schools. I think it's exciting too. And so we want to take the faculty, once we do the presentation to the faculty, we're going to offer them some trips so they can see it.
Yes.
Okay, the second reading on page 16, student transfers. This is the second reading for the policy 10.111. If you look on page 17, you'll see in red what we agreed to at the first reading. So I'm just asking for.
I have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the policy as amended, policy 10.111, student transfers within Pitt County Schools.
Mark made the motion and Sean seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? So pass.
Last item, school improvement plans. If you'll pull out your school improvement template. I have it on the screen so you can kind of follow along. I kind of want to do a review for how these work and what you'll see when you look in and you click on the site of the school. All the schools have websites, and on their website should say something to the effect of the school improvement plan. It's not in your booklet, it is. So you're looking at a blank one, and then I've asked principals to come in and talk about the different things that's on their goals. Okay? So I'm kind of doing just to letting you see the template. So when you go to your specific school, of course, when the community hears this recording, they'll kind of know what to look for. The first thing you're going to see is just their school name. This plan is for the years of 14 through 16. The tab at the bottom, the tab legend, is just color-coded for schools to know what tabs they need to fill out. If you're a K-8 school, if it's yellow, all schools have to complete that. If it's green, K-8 schools only. Purple, non-club. So that's on their template. Page 2. Is your vision and mission statement. The Pitt County Schools vision and the Pitt County School mission statement is up there, and then the school will put in their vision and mission statement. Page 3 is the district goals. If you notice, you'll see the district goal number 1. Every student in Pitt County Schools graduates from high school prepared to work further education and citizenship. And it goes along with the state board goal. And that is every student in North Carolina Public School System graduates from high school prepared for work, further education and citizenship. So that's how our district goals are tied to our state goals. And then after that comes data. Now, if you're looking, this is the K-8 student data. This is for your constituents that may want to see how their schools are performing. So for Read 3D, the first category there that you have is K through 3, 13, 14, the percentage proficiency for all, so have a subject Black, Hispanic, White, disability. 3 years, and the data will come up. And then you have, down here, you have the EBOS, which will tell you whether or not what their growth is. So they're red, green, blue, and then over here to the side of that is the actual gain percentage. So it's negative, positive. So in other words, schools can be green, but if they're negative gain, then that means they are closer to the red than they are to the blue. If it's positive, then they're closer to the blue, which means green. And then you got reading, then you have math, which is EVOS, and then percentage proficiency. And then you go into the math. Then we have student engagement data. This is where you have the number of students with greater than 10 unexcused absences, promotion retention data, that's the rate, and out-of-school suspension. So you can go to the school improvement plan and find out all the data that you need to find out for your particular school each year. After that comes the technology readiness data. That is the number of students tested, and then right beside it gives us the devices that we've had if we ever go to online testing, which is, 2 years ago. That's not coming in. But we want to make sure we're prepared. Do we have enough devices to do that? that is all your high school data. High school data is graduation rate, the 3 years, the attendance rate, the greater than 8 unexcused absences, because that's what's in policy. The end of course growth, you have EBOS, and then the effect number, whether or not it's going to be positive or negative. For biology, English 2, and Math 1. Then you have the proficiency rating, for biology, English 2, Math 1. Rigor. Then we have links on here that will take you to the actual accountability site. For good explanations if you don't know what you're looking at. The SAT, school, work fees, and then out of school suspension. The school budget summary is just.
The data that we had in EPS.
That's what you got.
Coincide, that coincides with this right here.
We're not hiding anything. It's all out there for your constituents.
All right. Okay, that's it. So no, well, no, for me to see.
That's right.
For me to get a better understanding of.
The next page is your school budget summary. This tells you how much Title I dollars the school gets, also the local dollars, the state dollars, and any remediation money. And then we get to goal 1. Now there's 5 goals that's going to correlate from the school to the district and then to the state. Okay? And the way this is set up is you see the district goal. Every student, Pitt County school graduate from high school prepared for work, further education, citizenship. Then the school, in that yellow form, will write their school goal. The blue is the objectives that they're going to meet within that goal. And then the pink is how are you going to meet that goal. The funding source, and then the 2 questions they have to answer at the beginning of the year is what data are you going to use to show that the action steps implemented to fidelity is correct. And then how will you determine whether or not the action steps led to the progress towards the goal? Those are the 2 things you have to know.
And what happens, excuse me, sorry, thank you. And what happens is each principal at the school will fill in.
Well, the school
Team.
team. And that's where you get your
Okay.
So for goal number 1, I asked some of the principals to come up and just give a sample of what theirs looks like. And so goal number 1 is going to be Holland from Hope.
One question.
Goal number 2 is Marty Baker from Aiden Richmond. Okay, go
I
ahead.
got one question. On pages prior to where we are now,
Alright.
you're giving a lot of data, which is real good. I'd like to be able to go to one place and look at all this data by year. Is there anything that will say what the average ought to be, or what the state average is? Or those numbers that we look at, can we somehow fix ourselves? It just tells the story of where we are.
The EVOS data, the EVOS data will show you your comparison between the school and the district.
Good.
Yeah, if you're making growth. But you're right, I haven't even listened to you say that.
But this is still good. It's good.
All right, I'm gonna ask, Mr. Baker's gonna do goal 2 for Aiden Richmond. Goal 3 is Mr. Lasser. Goal 4 is Frank Sinclair from Farmer Middle, and then Sheen Payton from goal 5 from Walker. So they're gonna just kind of walk you through. So I'll start with goal 1. And she will tell you what she's gonna do in goal 1.
Jennifer Hoffman from Pitt Middle School. So the district goal for 1 was every student in Pitt County graduates from high school prepared for work, further education, and citizenship. So what that translates for us at Hope Middle School is to prepare students to be college and career ready. And you know that they increase the EOG or integrate achievement levels 1 through 5. College and career ready students are those that are scoring level 4 and 5. They're the ones that are demonstrating solid and superior command of knowledge. So our objectives are to increase the number of proficient students on reading EOGs by 3%. Objective 2, increase the number of students proficient on math EOGs and EOCs by 3%. And then to increase the number of proficient students on science EOGs And our action steps entail for pretty much all three of them, the remediation services that we offer at school. This year, we extended our homeroom period so that our students are able to meet in and check in with teachers if they have questions regarding the night before's assignments. We are also doing common assessments and benchmarks, which you're familiar with, that the district is asking us to do. And we are also using accelerated math and accelerated reading in our school. And then, of course, we have our PLCs meeting weekly to adjust curriculum, look at power standards, create common assessments, and also to analyze the data from the student success or maybe not so much success in some of those assessments that they're creating. At the bottom, as we talk about our beginning of the year monitoring, what data will be used to determine if our action steps are implemented with fidelity. We are using data that we're gaining from both our STAR testing, which all students participate in. That's something that we require 3 times a year, beginning, middle, and end of the year. We're also monitoring our students' accelerated math and reading performance. We are looking at previous EOG data as well as students' EBOS data, so their predictors where the state is saying that they should be achieving that. Then whether the action steps are being progress, we of course are continuing to monitor the areas of accelerated math, our common assessments and benchmarks we are already underway with, and we are looking at our PLC minutes. We are also attending our PLC meetings, and basically using visuals and recognition within our school for students. We're making sure that we are monitoring our staff where our students are, where they're performing in their
One question.
Mr. Moore.
Yes, down where the BOY is, and I may have missed this, how will you determine whether the action steps lead to progress toward the goal? What did you have for that one? I missed that.
We are certainly continuing to monitor our accelerated math and our accelerated reading programs. We are also using common assessments, which are being created in our grade levels and with our PLC groups meeting. They give the assessments to students. They get back to them, they look at the data, make any adjustments they need for instruction, either remediation, or extension, or continuing to grow the student. And but also basically just visuals within our school. One of our focuses this year at our school is to increase nonfiction reading and to increase students' book level with the accelerated reading program. And so we have some visuals within our school, such as the bulletin board, where we're maintaining where our 6th graders are, our 7th graders are, and our 8th graders are. And then we're also acknowledging the students at grade level.
High school, every student in Griffin will have a personalized education. And our objective is to focus on increasing our EOC scores by conducting our professional learning community meetings during each semester. Sometimes in high school that's very difficult to do. We freed up flex periods on Friday for 3 EOC courses for them to meet for a period of 40 minutes. Dedicated time. Really, I think, will make a difference. We want to increase those scores by 10% this school year. The teachers will maintain professional learning communities throughout the semester and work collaboratively to score student work, to create assessments, and to discuss teaching practices. Basically, that is using the PLCs to create the common assessments. So we have 2 teachers teaching biology, and they're giving common assessments. The next piece of that, which would be under that, would be how are we using the data. We would utilize EBOS data, benchmark data, and test data by the creation of common performance assessments and a backwards design model, which means that we're going to be creating lesson plans after we create the assessment, which means that we're going to be teaching on a higher level, teaching these students to have the skills to be able to answer those more difficult questions they're going to see on the DOC and on the state. In addition, we feel that attendance is also important. Several subgroups or subdivisions of our business model attendance was very important to us as a school improvement team, and that we created a graduation administrative team that will look at attendance data. And what we've done this year, in a nutshell, is that we've had students at 2, 3, 5, and 8. They don't have to sign the attendance form that is mailed, and people go home with their signature on it, so that it makes the students accountable for the attendance. We've been doing a great job with our graduation coach in coaching those students who've been having attendance issues on the school. It's been a great help. We're going to continue to monitor progress. At the beginning of the year, we obviously the benchmark item analysis, lesson plans, PLC records, attendance records, and certainly the letters. And how we determine whether these action steps work toward the goal, include formal assessment, certainly both on common assessments and EOC growth. We hope to see the results most definitely at the end of each semester, but also all along.
Any questions? Mark? How many, is this your first year of not meeting tested at 95%?
It's the first year, to my knowledge, that we have. Usually we're at 95% rate.
Do your teachers, do you have common planning time for the core?
For the EOC core, I created as a model this year, and then the team this year will be a group of committee that will next year focus on moving the school.
And how often do your PLCs meet?
Meet every Friday.
Mayor?
Have you done anything like for your personalized education? Have you implemented anything towards the guidance curriculum, guidance counselors?
One of the things that we have a graduation coach.
Coach.
The graduation coach helps in a number of ways, which partners with our guidance counselors to give them additional support. One of the nice things about the common assessments in terms of academic growth and development is that you can focus in on which parts of the objective the students are missing. Therefore, the teacher can then focus on how am I going to reteach, or what are we going to do to make sure those students have those certain skills. We also get our counselors involved with that. Primarily, our graduation coach is certainly the first line, and then certainly we can get our counselors involved.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Goal 3 for the Capitola School is that every student at Capitola has an excellent educator every day. Our first objective is to recruit and retain 95% of our beginning teachers that we hire at Capitola. Our action steps to accomplishing that is that we will host 3 beginning teacher chat and choose sessions throughout the year. These sessions will provide beginning teachers with information that's relevant to classroom management, instructional strategies, curriculum instruction, and school culture. We encourage them to meet also frequently with their mentor and mentee at Capitola. Our second action step to accomplishing this goal is to continue to have our teachers meet weekly in their professional learning community. Teachers will meet weekly as a professional learning community for 86 consecutive minutes in grades K4 and 75 minutes after school for teachers in grades 5, 8 vertical. Teachers will discuss student needs and determine rigorous and relevant instructional strategies that meet the needs of all students. Strategies will be adjusted as necessary based on student performance and power standards CFA. Outside consultants, administration, instructional coaches, intervention specialists, and remediation teachers will meet regularly with teachers at each grade level to discuss student needs and determine targeted interventions as well as evaluate the effectiveness of these interventions. Objective 3 is to provide high-quality professional development in our 3 school-wide focus areas, which are smart construction, academic vocabulary, writing, and foster curriculum. Teachers will participate monthly in a series of professional development offerings at the school level in these 3 key areas. The sessions will be led by administration, instructional coaches, teacher leaders. Smart construction will consist of guided reading, guided math, 6-8 teachers attend district-wide training on right from the beginning and beyond. Big Ideas math training across the district. Guided reading training will be provided
and teacher assistants for 8 sessions throughout 2015. The data that we use to determine if these strategies are implemented with fidelity, we are completing teacher championship sessions, POC minutes, professional development sessions, lesson plans, AR data, and data notebooks. And we will determine if these strategies help us improve support towards our goal by using instructional strategies to support data into our instruction, increase our data. And then data benchmark CFAs.
Any questions? Sean?
I didn't.
Thank you. Go full.
I did have goal 4, that states that Farmville Middle School will have up-to-date financial, business, and technology systems to serve the students, parents, and educators, which actually mirrors the district goal. And what we primarily decided to do at Farmville Middle School was to focus on the technology and business component of this particular goal, and that is to bolster communication with all of the parents, so that they may be more involved in the things that are going on at Farmville Middle School. So our first objective in doing that was to increase and implement technology systems for parent access. So we are going to create a new school webpage, in which we have contracted with Asst Digital to do that, along with creating a new school app for smartphone users. Again, through Asst Digital, we were able to do that as well. And to have constant availability for parents to sign up for the use of parent portal access. They know they'll have access to the grades and attendance and things of that nature. Our second objective was that every teacher in our school would have a web page. Increasingly, our parents of the farmer community have asked, how can we get access to the resources that you heard at Mr. Lassiter and Ms. Papa mentioned, like AR, AM, they want to access that information. And so we have asked every one of our teachers to have a web page. And so we are going to provide teachers with professional development on how to create their web pages. And their web pages actually are now accessible as of October 31st, that's Friday. So you can go to our web page, our website, click on the teachers, and they all have web pages which you can learn information about instructional strategies and instructional programs in the classroom. And so our last objective was to basically distribute state and local instructional funds by our school leadership team. In other words, we're having every grade level submit their needs to us regarding what needs they need to help improve the instruction in the classroom for students. So content areas are submitting that to us. And so we're analyzing their needs according to the budget that we have received, and then we're going to allocate those funds to those teachers, assist students in making sure they grow at school. What data will be used to determine if the action steps were implemented with fidelity? Again, we have taken inventory of media center regarding what can we do to help teachers create a website, how can we create a web page. We realized we didn't have the resources to do that, so we contracted out through Asst Digital, and they actually took us through every step of that process of what it's going to look like. So that was an interesting and fun thing to do. And then we're also going to have parent portal sign up continually throughout the course of this year. How will we determine whether the action steps led to progress toward the goal? Basically, an increase in parent involvement in school-wide activities, making sure our parents know what's going on at Farmville Middle School so they feel a part of the culture and what's going on in our building. So that's what we're using to assess that.
Any questions? All right, thank you. Gina?
I'm going to focus on Goal 5, and for Goal 5, we are doing every student at Walcoats will be healthy, safe, and responsible. For last school year, we had a 61% decrease in our out-of-school suspensions at Walcoats. So this year, we're going to continue to focus on our out-of-school suspensions, and we would like to decrease them by 2% more this school year. We are implementing flagships this school year. That's an idea that we got from the Ron Clark Academy. We are doing, they call them houses at Ron Clark Academy, but we're calling them flagships since we are the Pirates. We are divided into 4 teams in our school. So this is going about approach of discipline, not just individual, but a team approach, because we're trying to build more community at our school by getting parents and students and everybody on board. Every staff member, including custodial, including our cafeteria, are on a flagship, and students can earn points for academic achievement and also for showing respect and responsibility. They were rewarded every 9 weeks. We wrote a Perkins grant that we received, and at the end of the 9 weeks, our students receive a off-campus adventure. And actually, Mafanikio, that's the flagship who won last 9 weeks, is going to be going bowling. So they're going to take the party for that to go off campus. And we really think that's important for some of our students because they don't get to do some things off campus and be rewarded. Like I said, we're divided into 4 teams at our school. We also received funding from Cornelia Church and from Equipment Plus for T-shirts for every single student and every single staff member on Wildcoats as well to show our pride there. We've also beefed up our Wildcoats expectations. Our teachers, we are not a we're not a PBIS school. However, our teachers are really, involved in our discipline. They went through the whole process of going through all of the disciplines that our students have, and they went through and tiered them themselves and came up with consequences. So they did a lot of the stuff as PBIS. We took it a step further by making a video to show our students. We show it the first 10 days of school, and then every month we show them about how we do things at Wildcoats, from walking down the breezeway to how to act in the cafeteria, everything. We've increased it this school year by showing what respect is and how to use good manners. We're really working on please and thank you, and also looking at one another when you talk to each other, trying to build those self-confidence skills. So we've taken it a step further by making videos and showing things like that, and we're using our students to do that as well. Our next goal objective is reduce the number of unexcused absences by 2%. And we're using our flagships for that as well, rewarding points and things for our students. It's very amazing how much a point can do for a student. You would believe to say I'm going to give you a point, how much that builds on the students. They look for that. And also we are streamlining our communication, parent communication on absences, and making sure we are doing a little bit better job of making sure that everybody knows the processes for absences by sending home letters and getting our social worker more involved in home visits and things like that we need. And also reducing this number of students and tardies by doing the same thing, by making sure that we have sending out our letters like we need to, doing our alert nows, social work visits, and also if we need to, suspensions if we have to go that way. The data that we're using to make sure that we're doing fidelity. We have created at Wildcoats a electronic discipline referral. That is, instead of a discipline referral being the teacher writing it out, it sits in your box for a little bit. It automatically goes straight to myself or my assistant principal as soon as the teacher has that issue. So automatically I see exactly what needs to be done and what action steps the teacher has done. We can go ahead and move on it quickly. So we can look at those daily or every minute or whatever. And also Power Schools, looking at the discipline suspensions that we have. And how will we determine if the action steps led to progress towards the goal? If we've had a decrease in the absence, the number of students who are absent, and also a decrease in their absence suspensions.
Chair, thank you, Ms. King. You said absence suspensions reduced by
61% last year.
61%.
Yes, sir.
What I've noticed as a member of this board, being so bold, sometimes when the time school suspensions, they get reduced significantly, I start getting more calls from parents about, why is this child continuing to act this way, not being put out in the classroom? I've not gotten one call about Walmart this year, and those calls also come from teachers, common. I've not gotten one call about Walmart from faculty. Great job. Very good.
Having worked, I guess I should be talking with most things about this, but having worked for a Fortune 500 company, setting goals can make you lie awake at night, because when I look here, I see a target date, 6/1/2015, and I've heard a lot of good things. Not to say it won't be done, because from what I've seen, we've got a great team here working in Pitt County. And I just want to let you know, because I've heard a lot that the number you see here, maybe 12 now, but maybe 9, we are at your disposal, because I have heard tonight a lot of aggressive goals, and we want to make them. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'd just like to say thank you for your hard work at Wildcats. She's a good principal.
Yes. Appreciate it.
They did a great job. Let's finish out real quick. The next section is for Title I schools only. Basically, Sandra Morris meets with the Title I schools, and they take their Title I plan and they categorize it, the components of the Title I plan, see how it fits into the goals. So I'm going to scroll through that.
Thank you.
Safe school plan is the next section. This is not the true safe school plan, because we can't get details on something that's over to the So basically, the state board requires us to include portions of our safe school plan, so it just lists who's responsible and some of the goals. You'll see on the second page of it, our goal is to reduce out-of-school suspensions as a district by 5%. They may change that year. Sheena said hers was 3% because she had such a big drop last year. And how they're going to do that. Indicators of success. And then the last part is the professional development they're going to offer pertaining to safety. So you can see that PBIS is something that we expect schools to be working on. Sheena did not want, she requested not to participate in the name PBIS because the staff has kind of had a bad conversation with it the first time. So she's doing a lot of the components in the column of that. The next page, which is all third graders read at or above grade level. We don't have to do more. This is a requirement from the state because of Read to Achieve. And so we went ahead and wrote in the objectives for the schools. Only the K-5 and K-8 schools have to have this in their plan. And that's to increase their proficiency in reading, kindergarten, first and second grade. And then they put in the action. The state to be here, the director of K-5, in case anybody had any questions about Read to Achieve. It's changing today. The next page is the duty free. This is you'll see at the top it says state requirement. All school improvement plans are required to have this, and it's basically how we trying to make sure our teachers get appropriate planning time and duty free lunch periods as possible. There's a second statement of that that says none at the detriment of supervision for children. So a lot of our elementary schools, the teachers are in there, but there's plans, there's trials out there on how we can get some help. And then the last, this section, state staff, I deliberately put that green block up there just because I want everybody that looks at this to know we don't get any state allotment for staff development. But even though the state requires us to have a plan to do staff development, they don't give us any money, so that's kind of a cooey on you. And then the last page is a signature page, which is you will see here, 14, 15, how many approved it, how many did not approve it. Principal signature will be there, and the local board chair approval. Basically, what I'm asking you to do tonight is just to accept the school improvement plans because I know you're not going to want to read through every one. But just accept the format that we have and what we've been working on. School improvement team signs it, and then the last page is just the waivers that we request that we can run. So any questions now about the template? And I do ask to
Have a motion.
Move we approve the template.
Thank you, Mr. Forrest. Mr. Moore seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We approve. Thanks, Cheryl. Benji?
Thank you.
Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We met during our usual time. We did have a forum, Mr. Chairman, and we discussed those two items that you can see that are before us tonight. I'm going to ask Michael if he would move forward.
Good evening. We did meet a couple weeks ago to review the 2014-15 budget resolution and the budget calendar. I'll quickly go through this over the next 45 minutes for your review.
Hey, you see this? It's not gonna be here, it's gonna be up there.
I'll try to keep it at the total budget for Pitt County Schools for the 2014-15 school year is approximately $229.3 million, with the operating budget comprising approximately 90% of the total, $207.5 million. The operating budget contains both state, local, and federal dollars intended to run the day-to-day operations of the school system, with state appropriations making up approximately 2/3 of that total. Overall, we received in state, local, and federal dollars approximately $8,700 per student. There are two primary characteristics of our overall budget. First of all, we're highly invested in people. Approximately 84% of our total budget comes in the form of salaries and benefits. And then if you look at how the budget is being utilized, approximately 81 out of every $100 is going directly into the classroom to serve our students. And looking at the highlights of this year's budget, it was kind of hard to get down to just a few of those highlights. But one though you may not know of, but you actually have an article there at your desk, you should. But basically, at the 12th hour of the state budget, the legislature approved a new way to formulate the budget, whereby future budgets will not be based off of student ADN and growth of students. State allotments are based off of the number of students that attend our public schools. And each year, as student increases within the state of North Carolina, so too does the state budget for education. This requirement has been removed so that the state budget will no longer grow as students grow. So that means that a school system could increase 100 students, 200 students even, and not receive not one additional dime in order to operate the school system. And that we will have to be fighting amongst all other issues within that state budget just to meet the increase in funding, the increase in student growth. So that came in at the last 12th hour, and again, you have an article there for the department to go into a little bit more detail about that. But that will change the foundation on which the budget is based in the future. 7% increase in teacher salaries, which the supplement is rolled into that salary schedule. $129.9 million reduction in funding for teacher assistants. Overall funding for teacher assistants has been reduced by over $2.4 million in Pitt County alone since the year 2008-2009, and we've lost approximately 70 teacher assistant positions here in the school system. Student ratio, teacher funding ratios were adjusted so that we received approximately 20 additional allotted teacher positions from the state. This year, we're allotted at 1,080.5 regular classroom teachers. Just in the year 2008-09, we were actually allotted 1,091 state allotted teacher positions. And you say that again, back in 2008-09, we were allotted from the state of North Carolina 1,091 teacher positions, down 11 where we are currently. In fact, we've actually lost state allotted positions, approximately 23 positions since 2008-2009 here within Pitt County alone. We are allotted 1,080.5, but yet we have allocated out to the schools 1,170 regular classroom teachers. So we're funding approximately 90 teacher assistant positions above the state allotment formula. And it's just not in the form of regular classroom teachers, but in total we are funding over 173 teacher positions above the state allotment formula. So that'd be regular classroom teachers, EC teachers, AG teachers, LEP, AG, CTE, and so on. How are we doing it? Through the use of low wealth and local appropriations. $5.6 million in low wealth funding and over $3 million in local funding in the local budget and the special revenue budget.
Hold on, Mike. A few minutes ago, you mentioned something about the allotment had dropped. You said the allotment part had dropped, but the student population has gone up.
That's right. Yes,
so everybody needs to.
Yes, that's right. Our actual funding for teacher assistants is reduced by $2.4 million. Our actually state allotted classroom teachers, instructional support, and assistant principal positions have reduced by 23 positions. over the last 7 years. That comes at a time when our student population has grown by over 700 students.
That's what we need to hear.
Did they adjust the formula for that? Is that how they did it, or was that a across the board type thing?
Yes, the fund, for example, teacher assistants, let's just use that example. The state will tell you that they're still funding teacher assistants in grades K through 3. But if you go back and look at the year 2008, 2009, they were funding $1,000 teacher assistants for every K through student. Now it's funding a little bit more than $700 per K through 3 student. So yes, they can say they're funding K through 3, but they're reducing the appropriation per student in order to basically cut over $200 million from the state budget. Low wealth. We know that we're highly leveraged on using low wealth to fund instructional classroom teachers. We did see an increase of over $1 million in low wealth funding this year based off of the low wealth formula. That becomes a gift from the Lord above, given the fact that we requested $1.2 million increase in local appropriations, but only saw an actual $500,000 increase. So our county appropriations came in $700,000 lower than what we had proposed, just to be able to maintain the current level of operations in Pitt schools. That doesn't consider the $1 million increase in local funding that we requested in order to fund a 1% increase in the teacher salary and to fund that $300,000 in staff development that the state is no longer funding as well. As you can see from this graph, our per student funding by the county dropped from a 25th position back in 2004 up to the 45th position for the 2014 school year. Now I'm waiting data any day from the Budget and Tax Survey to see where this ranks for 2015. But my educated guess is that it will be worse than the 45th position. And you can see that we continue to lie below both the state average and the average in funding for the top 50 school systems in the state. When we look at our fund balance, our local fund balance stands at approximately $4.4 million, with $3.4 million designated for one-time projects. That includes the likes of the transportation facility, $906,000. We have uncompleted projects within the facility services department of over $600,000. And we have dollars allocated for safety and security. We have the technology task force, finish out a one-to-one initiative at several of our middle schools. We have STEM lab implementation, using $300,000 for staff development for the state. And we're having to take coming out of our fund balance, and that in itself cannot be sustained. And we also have various carryovers that we carry forward from one year to the next as schools build up their supplies for the next year. If you look at our local budget, it's pretty much split 50-50 between instructional programming and system-wide support services. I always take a look at this to be able to go out to our community and show this is what we're doing with our local budget to help enhance and supplement the state allocations for instruction in the county. Finally, this year is pretty much set. We kind of go through this every year and look at our budget resolution. We do have a balanced budget. As the state requires, we must balance our operations. We cannot spend more than we take in. And so no, we need to worry about this current fiscal year, even as tough as it was. We do have a balanced budget. But automatically, we're looking forward to the 2015-16 school year. And that begins here tonight with the approval of the budget resolution and the budget calendar that carries through to the spring, to the long session, where various budget scenarios will be brought forward to the legislature, as well as a negotiated budget with the county commissioners. Doing something a little bit different than I've done before in the past. I'm actually taking what I consider to be our top 10 uncertainties going into the next budget year and kind of breaking them down one by one. And over the next several months, you will be receiving various pieces of documentation that kind of breaks down what these uncertainties and how they could affect our operation in the next budget year and the future budget years. We started out a couple of weeks ago by reviewing charter schools and the tremendous impact that could have on our operations. If the projected enrollment in the 2 charter schools comes to fruition, that was included within the application submitted to the Department of Public Instruction, we could be losing over 500 students over the next couple of years, which would be well over $5 million with appropriations in schools. At your seat, I have funding for teacher assistants. It kind of breaks down further the information that is discussed within the body of the presentation. again, of our $2.4 million reduction in funding for our teacher assistants in the county. I think what you are seeing by looking at that information is that teacher assistants are pretty much being eradicated, not only here within the schools, but across the state. And that, again, is what set the tone for the type of discussion we'll be hearing from our state leadership as we move forward to the long session. I have to remind the board that this year's short session basically fills up a whole entire month, based off of putting basically teacher assistants within the middle of negotiations for a salary increase for teachers, which is a wholly different kind of discussion we could have. But, and you'll be hearing more about that over the next few months. So I look forward to be able to supply you guys with more information about each one of these issues, and basically allow us to help base our platform moving forward into the long session.
Cheryl, to expedite things, in case members want to discuss, I'll go ahead and make the motion to accept it, that we approve the 2014-15 budget resolution, and I'm going to include in that, and the 2015-16 budget calendar.
Second.
Angie made the motion, Mark seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Yeah, one question though, Mr. Chair.
All right.
One on, okay.
That'll be May.
All right.
Okay, we approved. Anything else? Thank you, Mike.
We vote
Yeah.
tomorrow.
I just,
We do vote tomorrow.
Mark has some.
Can fix that.
Michael, I just want to say thank you for putting this information out there. The thing I would ask, we all have figured this information out, some of us even before this presentation tonight, because the numbers have not been adding up. But the thing we continue to hear from our local elected representatives is, particularly in their campaign literature, is that they've protected the classroom, they've protected classroom teaching positions, they've increased funding for education, they've given a 7% raise. The thing that's most troubling to me is, where is the media in terms of writing about this and putting this information forward in terms of what the real factual data is? It's not there. And that's what's troubling is that we need to put this information out in terms of what's false and what's reality. Numbers don't lie in terms of what we're having to deal with.
I know you're in time crunch, but I would like to make one comment about that. Brock and myself went last week to present to the Chamber's Issues Committee, and in the process of doing so, that we showed them basically a survey that had been done, a poll that showed that funding for education in the state of North Carolina had reduced by over like $800 per student over the last 6-7 years. And I had no idea where that information came from. Dr. Linker shared that with me, and I just presented that to the group, and it ranked every single state in all 50 states. And we ranked one of the highest as far as reduction in funding for education. And we tried to explain, I can't justify those numbers, I don't know where they came from. But what I can show you is that within Pitt County schools, our funding has dropped over $5 million with concerns to teacher assistants, clerical, custodial, instructional supplies, textbooks. That doesn't consider the fact that we lost approximately 22 positions, instructional positions, from where we were back in 2008-9 school year, with our growth in enrollment over 700 students. And the mere fact, if you look at the 2008-9 salary schedule for an 8-year teacher, they're basically making more than they would on the current salary schedule for an 8-year teacher today. Well, so that's, and you can't argue those facts. Those facts are hard.
One of the things that I found was interesting, if I can just 1 second, is in some research I was looking at just last night, the state of Kentucky in 11-12 school year was spending $11,600 and some odd dollars per ADM in their funding. And here we are in Pitt County, probably one of the more wealthy areas, excluding the Triad and Triangle and so on, but we're spending $8,000 in our area per pupil, and I know there are poor areas, certainly in North Carolina, that can't afford it from their local appropriations. And of course, when we think of Kentucky, and not bringing any disparity to Kentucky, but we certainly don't think of Kentucky as being a wealthy area. How is it that our state has gone so backwards in such a short period of time
And yet we have our elected leaders from our community saying what they've done for education. It should be what they've done to education.
And why we all feel so.
They align.
You want to comment to that?
You wanna tackle that, Mike? I think I said.
Jill?
Well, I mean, the only thing to say about that is tomorrow's the day to hold them accountable.
That's right.
Our elected officials who created this budget and have been doing it for the last several years, tomorrow's the day of reckoning, and let's hope that they
Well, and the one last thing,
hear from the
the one
voters.
last thing I would say is, I found it interesting that the governor was talking about the state of the condition of the Albemarle building in terms of his
Yes.
recruitment efforts. He was looking at the ratty carpet. I wish he would take the opportunity to look around some of our poor school buildings. And certainly, we're even more better off here in Pitt County than some other areas where there are schools that would be better off with no roof. That in terms of the leaks that they have to deal with, the mold, the worn out furniture. I mean, seriously, where has he been?
Can you answer that? You call him. We find out where he's been. All right, Jill.
And let's remember, it is not just our elected officials on the state level, folks. You're talking about buildings, you're talking about maintaining and running our facilities. That is the Pitt County responsibility.
Anyone else?
I want to say that
Ben?
it includes child education, because that too, which there's parents with those aged kids. I can make a difference. I'm gonna tell you, that's like another added tax.
Yeah, it is. All right, Mary. And Mr. Locke.
Dr. Jackson, please.
Good evening. How y'all doing today?
I'm better now.
You need to make us all out of check.
That did.
The Human Resources Committee met on October 28th, and we discussed several items. I'm going to save one item for last because it leads into the draft policy that's in your book on page 42. But I will start out with the hearing process. We are in the process of working with Ms. Deborah Stagner to update some policies regarding allowing staff employees, especially our classified employees, to have a hearing before the board. We are looking at several districts and getting several examples so that we will have enough information to present to our committee and a couple of changes that will be required in policy in the upcoming months. So I just want to give that update that we talked about that and looking at the process of allowing them to have a hearing and how that is laid out in the future months. We have continuously been talking about the Affordable Care Act. In regards to the Affordable Care Act, the latest information we received was from the retirement system. And the retirement system finally came out and stated that they will drop retirees that go beyond 130 hours per month. So we are constantly, with the help of the finance department and people in my department, monitoring hours for our retirees that are coming back. These are our people that help us with remediation. They're some of our substitutes. And we are working with them because on the humanistic side, we don't want anyone to have to change their health benefits because they're unaware of how many hours they're working. Now, please understand that this is separate from their salary cap. This is now what we consider to be a benefits cap. So they would, if they were working over 130 hours a month, they would be dropped from the retirement system's benefit plan and offer a bronze plan at a cost, which has less coverage than their present plans that they have. At this point, we will be meeting on next week with myself, Mr. Cowan, members of my staff and members of the finance staff to sit down and look at this final look-back period information, because we finished the first look-back period to see if there are people that are at risk and also substitutes, analyzing that as well. So this is a constant process that's been put before superintendents to discuss. All districts across the state are discussing this, and it is centered around
And I had something that Delilah didn't say. This is wreaking havoc with our substitute, our long-term and short-term substitute availability.
We are working daily on our high days of Mondays and Fridays. Different things are occurring. We have had to fill up to 47 positions, and each day we have schools that are without a substitute, which requires our teacher assistants and classroom teachers to have to cover classes when there's no sub available to be able to run. So it has been something that we're monitoring on a weekly basis when we have classes that are not filled. And of course, our retirees are saying, I can't work because I don't want to risk losing my benefits that I have presently. And I can understand that as someone who may be in the middle of some form of treatment or something that requires them to have a certain coverage, and then their coverage will have to change. So we are constantly monitoring this. We also talked about a classified salary study. We today emailed to our personnel administrative representative the survey that we're sending out to 115 districts about classified employees. We're looking at bus drivers, child nutrition workers, teacher assistants, all classified employees to make sure that we as Pitt County Schools have our policies and procedures of pay in line with other districts, and also looking at other incentives that may be possible for our classified employees to receive. One example was, would we possibly incent employees for receiving a bachelor's degree as a reward for going further in their education? So that's just one sample of what we're going to be asking. What are the different things that districts across North Carolina do to incent their classified employees? So that study should be coming out. We sent it to her on today. Hopefully she will send it out to our group on tomorrow, and we'll have that information to start for our next HR committee meeting. The calendar committee will meet on November the 6th, which is Thursday, and that committee was approved by the HR committee. We have principals, parents, teachers, administrators, board member. We have different people that are on the calendar committee that will help us build the 15-16 calendar, which has to be done by February so it can be in Power School to build the master schedule. So that will be up and forthcoming as well. The last thing that I wanted to focus on is a draft policy that you will see on page 42 in your book. And this is from legislation, of course, that was done this summer in the General Assembly. It was to come in effect November 1st, as a matter of fact. Today is November the 3rd. Yes. So it's now 2 days in effect. And basically what we've done in this policy is lift it right from the legislation that was conducted by the General Assembly this summer. And it's based on allergic reactions. And the basis of the policy is that we must have designated trained school personnel. And to give you a little bit of background, Dr. Morrow with the Health Department is working with our nurse manager, Ms. Terry Joyner, and all of our 20 school nurses to get them trained, and that Dr. Morrow will be writing a prescription to each of those school nurses so that the prescription will go directly to the nurse. We felt like that was better to go to the nurse as the person that is a qualified medical professional, and so that way we'll ensure that it gets into every school. From that, 2 people will be trained in each school to administer the epinephrine pen if it is needed in an emergency. And when you're looking at the policy, it talks about there's at least 2 pens in every school located in a secure but unlocked and easy accessible location. We are working with our administrative committee as well to determine in the schools where a secure unlocked place would be in a case of an emergency, because of course this is an emergency medicine. Somebody's having an allergic reaction, we have to be able to get to it. So in some cases that may or may not be problematic, but we are working on that. So the personnel that will be trained in the buildings first will be the first responders. Every building has first responders, which are your people that normally deal with the Band-Aids, the cuts, the bruises. Now they will be trained. And also I've talked with Mr. Ron Butler regarding our coaches, because it's also to be available during after-school events on the campus. So they're already working with some things in process there as well. If you turn over to the next page, I think this is very key, that the epinephrine provided for emergency is not intended to be the sole supply for students who already have a diagnosed condition. So let's say that someone already has carried on their person an EpiPen because they have an allergic reaction to peanuts or a bee sting or something that occurs. Our emergency pens that will be on the campus cannot be a substitute for that. So they will still be required to bring their EpiPens with them to school as they already are doing so, with the medical prescription and under the supervision of the school nurse. And this policy does not require, which I think the last paragraph is very important, that it is not available on off-school ground during the after school day. For instance, if there's a field trip, it is not required that these EpiPens go on that field trip. And also off-site athletic events. Let's say, for instance, someone in the committee asked, well, what if J.H. Rose is playing D.H. Conley? When D.H. Conley, something occurs, it would be D.H. Conley's devices that will be used for an emergency if something occurs. And if they went to Goldsboro High School, we'll bow our heads and pray.
Yeah.
Okay, they would have some devices too. So that's how it would work.
Mr. Robert?
My question is, and I've had it asked me, if a coach is on a trip and wants to be trained, can fly with
not based on the way the law is written, that they have to be at the school, they could not carry them with them. Not to say they couldn't be trained, but they could not take a supply.
Benji?
Mr. Chairman, I got one question backing up a minute. You said that y'all were going to start working on the calendar committee.
Correct.
Will the calendar committee also look at graduation dates?
The graduation dates are usually decided in the EPS committee, and there's also a graduation task force. I'm not sure if they're still meeting with that, but the calendar committee does not supply. We do not do the graduation.
Once they set the last day of school, then
Then they do.
That's a given. That's a given.
Yeah, because whoever is not responsible for that, I haven't had a lot of comment, but I have had some comment about maybe putting a few more parents or whatever on that too, or community people on that too.
Okay. Any other questions about the emergency epinephrine auto injector policy? This is being presented to you for first reading, so I would ask that you read it over, and we do have to put a period at the end of the word plan on page 43. We did notice that. So please look over the policy. It is a draft, and we're proposing it to be 7.035 in the future, and it has been uplifted from the actual School Board Association sample policy. So this is not a policy that we made up step by step. We did use the sample. So please review this, and we hope that we'll be able to present it for second reading at our next meeting.
Any other questions, Mr. Council?
I had a question about substitutes. Do we need to be hiring some additional substitutes to make up
We are hiring
that gap?
people every day. We have to get them oriented, background check, drug screen. I think last week on demand, we brought 5 people in. Because someone will say, that's too far for me to drive, and someone pops up and say, I want to work at Stokes School. We oriented 3 people that said they would definitely go to Stokes School. So we are out there beating the bushes, trying to get more subs because we need them just based on the situation that we're in. So we are orienting every day.
All right. Thanks. Matt?
The Operations Committee met on October 21st, and after a long and hard and months worth of trying to figure out our list, the Operations Committee came up with our list of capital funding priorities, which you see in your packet on page 45. This list includes the immediate needs of the school district. It does not take into account for future growth. It does not take into account for proposed growth, what we think is going to happen or anything. This is the immediate needs, what we need to go do right now, in the opinion of the Operations Committee, as well as the senior staff. We would like to take this list upon your approval tonight down to the county commissioners to take this and ask to leverage the debt of approximately $26.2 million for the county for our capital funding needs.
Mr. Chairman.
Tonight for any questions, and we'll get this approved.
I'll offer a motion to approve Mr. Johnson's request, as we have had priorities. I think it's been a very fair process in terms of looking at the funding. It seemed like a high price tag, but certainly it doesn't go really as far enough in terms of everything that's needed. But I would offer the motion that we approve priority listing using capital funds.
Second.
Sean, you got it in first. All right. Mary?
I just got one thing. One thing for me, the South Greenville Gym renovations. Can we wait on that? Do we have to do that now? Do we have to include that now? Can we just wait? Cause
I mean, that is not necessarily
Just,
order,
I want to just take it out. Can I just?
substitute motion.
Make a substitute motion to take this one out, cause I just don't think that that's right. I just feel like we can just table that.
Okay.
See whether or not we can't get the city to do their part, maybe the county, all of us to just come in.
Everyone is.
All right.
That's up to that amount.
This is, yeah, the 600,000 towards that would be our contribution to the city to do their renovation of that gym.
That's what we're gonna do.
That's what we would, that would be our contribution as Pitt County Schools to the city towards that gym. Their plan right now is, approximately $3.2 million for a complete renovation, creating a new rec center.
That's what they have committed to us.
No, that's what they're asking us to do.
That's what they want to do. They want to create a rec center for the area around South Greenville.
All we're looking at is committing 600,000. They're asking for more. They're asking for more.
Hold on, wait a minute. I need some.
Go through it again specifically, Matt.
Wait a minute. Matt, okay. 600,000 is what we are contributing as a board. The city of Greenville is doing what?
The city of Greenville has a proposal right now that they're gonna take before their board and I'm assuming out to the public to build a $3.2 million recreational center complex, which would include a renovation of the current gym as well as an addition of approximately 12 to 16,000 square feet of additional rooms, weight rooms, locker rooms, computer rooms, rec rooms, that kind of thing around that. One of the reasons the committee thought that 600,000 was probably a good number is because for South Greenville's use of that school, we do not require all the extra space, all the extra rooms that they were planning on putting out there. They want to truly make it a community recreation center where we need it as a multi-purpose room or gym from 8 to 3 for our students there in there, and that's all we really need.
Any questions? Mary, you got another question regarding that? Are you satisfied or you want? What do you?
The city would like for us to partner with them 50-50. The problem is we just won't get the 50-50 use out of it. We won't get over $1.5 million use out of it when it comes down to it. Really, we could go in there and build another facility for around $600,000 or $700,000 and have it be just like we were proposing to do it. That's why we were thinking that around that 600,000 mark would be fair, as we could build that facility ourselves for around that amount.
Question.
More.
So the city is asking us 50-50 on the 3.2 million.
Yes, sir.
And we have responded.
And we are only responding with 600,000. Okay, we've got a motion, we've got a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving this capital funds priority list, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Appreciate it, Matt. Okay, we have a joint resolution, Pitt County Schools, regarding a joint resolution of Pitt County and Pitt County Schools to jointly commit to bullying prevention. And it's a joint resolution of Pitt County Schools to jointly commit to bullying prevention. And I think the public needs to be aware of what we are approving. So I think it needs to be read. So whereas October is National Bullying Prevention Awareness Month, and whereas Pitt County and Pitt County Schools have an interest in promoting the social and economic well-being of their citizens, students, and employees, and whereas bullying in the schools, workplace, and community has become an increasingly significant problem in the United States, and whereas the well-being of Pitt County depends upon the existence of healthy and productive students, employees, and citizens learning, working, and living in a safe and abuse-free environments, and whereas almost 30% of the youth in the United States are estimated to be involved in bullying each year, and between 30 and 50% of employees in the United States are subject to workplace bullying sometimes in their career. And whereas Pitt County Schools has adopted the anti-discrimination, harassment, and bullying student policy, compliance with Article 29C of the General Statutes. Whereas Pitt County Schools has designated the Student Services Department to serve as anti-discrimination, harassment, and bullying coordinator, and to participate in training by the Department of Public Instruction relating to anti-discrimination, anti-harassment, and anti-bullying. And whereas Pitt County Schools proactively seeks to prevent bullying and creating a positive school environment through a sustained program of anti-bullying education for students and staff by the example provided by staff in a way in which bullying incidents and bullies are dealt, and by developing an atmosphere in which both students and parents feel more comfortable in communicating their worries and concerns to those who can help. Whereas abusive school environments are costly for the community with consequences, including negatively impacting a student's connection to school, their engagement with the curriculum, and their overall ability to learn. And whereas bullying can take many forms, including verbal, physical, and most recently in cyberspace, and can happen in many places throughout the community, in the workplace and both on and off school grounds. And whereas some forms of bullying violate existing criminal and civil laws, while other forms may be difficult to prosecute. And whereas in 2009, the General Assembly passed Article 29C of the General Statutes entitled School Violence Prevention, which directed local school administrative districts to adopt a policy prohibiting bullying or harassing behavior. And whereas bullying is a community problem and many interested stakeholders, including Pitt County schools, students, parents, guardians, law enforcement, state officials, and federal officials, and whereas student accountability, parent awareness, and involvement in effective laws are vital to addressing bullying, and whereas it is necessary that all interested stakeholders be committed to raising awareness, developing solutions, and implementing prevention measures to eradicate bullying in our community. And now, therefore, be it resolved that Pitt County and the Pitt County Schools jointly resolve their unified commitment to the education, prevention of bullying within our community, schools, and workplaces, and that Pitt County and Pitt County Schools be actively engaged in exploring solutions to the problem with all interested stakeholders in order that effective deterrence can be created, strengthened to prevent bullying in our community. But it further resolved that this resolution be sent to the members of the North Carolina General Assembly, and that all legislators be urged to study further actions that may be taken at the state level consistent with and in support of this resolution. And it will be signed by the Pitt County Chairman of the Pitt County Board of Commissioners, the clerk to the board, and the Pitt County Board of Education Chairman.
Chair, I move we approve the resolution as read. Second.
Mr. Forrest made the motion, and Sean seconded, and Ms. Mildred has a question.
Okay, the question I have is, October is over with, so now we're approving this for October 2015, only since we just passed October 2014.
Put in place, period, right? Just
Right.
October is national. Not an annual.
It was, October was National Bullying Month, so
Right.
that's why it was written there, but the day that's gonna be adopted is the date that we sign it,
Okay.
that we approve it, which will be this meeting.
And it'll become effective October 2015.
It'll become effective right now when we approve it, as soon as we can sign it.
Okay. So it'll be for every month, but we just approved it behind, supposed to have been October, which is the National Bullying Month. That's what I'm trying to get clear.
Well, what they did, they wrote this during the National Bullying Month, which was October.
Okay.
We are just getting the resolution that has been updated and made some changes that were made within it. And as soon as we approve it tonight, it'll be effective. Yes. Sean?
I think it's important to note with this, Mr. Chair, that the prevention of bullying is nothing new to Pitt County Schools. I'm very proud of Pitt County Schools, and they've always been a leader in the prevention of bullying and how long we've had our policy in place. It's been a lot longer than other school systems in the state, and that's something we should be very proud of. And this resolution is very good. I just don't want it to ever take away from all the work that's already been done with regard to bullying in Pitt County Schools and will continue to be done in Pitt County Schools.
And I just think this is what we're doing is, in saying is that we're going to further commit to improve and do the best we can, in whatever we do within Pitt County. Jill?
I think the other part of this is now that the county is publicly committing, that they have a role to play
Right.
in this as well in the workplace and in other areas outside of schools in their community.
Right. It's
And,
more,
and we need to make sure this is put somewhere, it's shoved in a drawer somewhere and forgotten. So, should it be part of our ordinances or whatever we've got, or put on a board somewhere, because otherwise, after we get through with it this month, it might get in some drawer somewhere. You never see it again. So what are we
these
gonna do with it?
resolutions that we have, I mean, they're all filed, but yet they're for us and the public as well. It's a public document for them to be able to see this and make us accountable. Say, why is it shoved in the drawer like you're saying, which it will not be.
Will not be.
Right?
And I think our schools are continuing
Yes.
to be mindful of this issue.
Okay, we got a motion and we got a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Mark? Oh, we've got comments by the superintendent.
Process. We have activities designed for all the principals as well as to take place at all the schools, so the teachers and principals will all be involved in that process over the next several months. And also got to see the most intense volleyball game I think I've ever seen in my life Saturday. I was sweating. So congratulations to the girls at Rose High School. Amazing.
I would just like to say, I thought it was great. We got a great comprehensive school improvement plan process that's going to create some accountability as well as include parents and community. And I just think that it will be good. It's a good document for people who have any questions to be able to go to and be able to see any information that they need to see, even in regards to the budget, as well as scores, as well as discipline and so forth. So I thought that was good. Billy?
I enjoyed the meeting tonight. I know it's been a long one. I know some other folks got some other words they'd like to say more.
All right, Jill?
I guess I would like to say one more thing, and that is, for me personally, and I'm sure for all of us around this table, the reason that we serve on this board is because we believe that in this country, a healthy system of public education is critical to our continued success and growth as a nation. And it's a scary, when you believe that, right now is a scary time because it feels like our own different levels of government are attacking that public education that we all hold so dear. And I hope that this board will continue to find ways to meet the needs of our students, but that hopefully the broader community will embrace the value of public education and that will continue to strengthen Pitt County and our country.
All right, Mary?
I agree with what Jill said, so vote for me tomorrow. I agree with what she said, so vote for me tomorrow. I'm serious. I am dead serious.
Jennifer?
I am dead serious.
The only other thing I wanted to say, in addition to my comments earlier, is thank you to the senior staff of Pitt County Schools, the teachers, the principals, and everybody involved, but especially the senior staff and Dr. Linker, in that serving on this board is so much easier because of all y'all and the time that you put into it, the professionalism and the just all the reports, all the contacts, Cheryl, everybody that really makes this position really enjoyable is not the word I'm looking for, but anyway, thank you for making it easier. I appreciate it.
Enjoyable, admit it,
Anyway, but no, thank you all. You do a fabulous job, and it reflects in the education that our children get in Pitt County schools. So thank you.
I was just gonna say the same thing. I was going to just say thank you to the senior staff and all of your hard work that you do for us, and being in the classroom. I think I've said this before. I didn't realize all of the effort that goes into getting the business ready for this meeting until I started attending the committee meetings. But you know, we have a good team, and we hear a lot of negative comments in the paper and things like that. But you know, they just don't realize the hard work that everybody puts forth, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the school system, and even if this is my last night, I still want to be involved in some way. So you can count on me to support you.
Thanks. More. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to congratulate J.H. Rose Volleyball on the state championship. That's a great accomplishment. You know, I complimented several principals from the kids in Microsoft. I want to compliment all principals and all faculty for the work that they do every day. Here, assistant principals at every meeting. I'd like to thank them for coming. Everybody running for office tomorrow, best of luck to everybody across the board. You know, that's a stressful time. I wish you the best. I would like to thank some board members who are not up for re-election. Jill Cameron, I'd like to thank for the time you spent in the union resilience. You're a fantastic individual, fantastic family. Appreciate everything you've done for the school system. When you first came on this board, most of our students were poor. So.
A lot of us.
That's just quite
Oh my God.
And I think Bill Clinton was president.
No, he didn't, Jill. No, he didn't. He didn't mean it. He didn't mean it. Really.
Ms. Owens, I'd
He
like
didn't
to
mean
thank
it.
you for always spending time with me
He didn't
and
mean
teaching
it.
about learning to serve with pleasure
Mhm.
and dignity and grace. And I enjoy seeing dedication to the students. And lastly, I want to thank my seatmate, Jennifer Little, who is just such a true leader in our community. I tell people time and time again, the right person won in 2008. Great job on this board. Great family. There's a lot of stories about Jennifer Little that I could share that she doesn't share with the community. I've run into Jennifer at stores where she's been buying students supplies with those students. If you look at her at the graduations, you can see certain students who graduate, and you can see the tears coming down her face because she's very proud of them, and she knew that you're a great advocate for our students. Thank you for everything you've done for this department.
You timed that just right.
I sure did, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Right.
Appreciate that. Ms. Miller.
Follow the rules.
Okay, I would
He
just
doesn't
like
have a
to
phone timer, do he?
say thanks to all the outgoing board members that are leaving us. It's been a pleasure serving with Jill, Jennifer, and Barbara. And just wish you all the best and stay in touch with us and help get those votes out tomorrow so we can get better gains for our public school system. And I'd like to say to all of us that are remaining that I'd like to say tomorrow is election day, and we feel about how we feel about public school is urgent that we haven't already voted to get the votes out. Take somebody with you and help them make the best choices. If they don't know, tell them what's going on. That's what I've been doing. And I've been working since before May on this, and so I'm looking for some good outcomes tomorrow. And because we definitely need people that is concerned about education, because we all got education from somewhere. And so that should be just the bottom line that we all should understand. If you need a voter guide, I have some. And I also have some report cards on all of our legislators that have done us really bad. And you heard the report from our budget person tonight. Thank you for sharing that. And get the vote out. And remember the issues of funding our schools, great jobs, voting rights, healthcare. And by the way, I got to tell y'all, they left me off the ballot. I can't even vote for myself tomorrow. I'm a product of voter suppression. So I want you all to know that I cannot vote for myself. So, Brian Brown, I hope that this is your last day in office, because you started this foolishness, and I have personal, concerns about it. I am not on my ballot. So voter suppression is real. And if you don't vote tomorrow, then it's your fault if you don't get who we're supposed to have, because everybody has a vote. I can vote for some other folks, but I can't vote for myself. And I am on 7 other ballots, so I will get some votes.
Mr.
But
Falk.
my 3 people in my household cannot vote for Mildred Axon Town, so I'm not on my ballot. So I thought I would tell you all that.
Mr. Farr.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to say to all the outgoing board members, wish you all well.
It's real.
Appreciate serving with you. You have made me a better board member, and I'm more attuned to conduct as we preside at these meetings. So I do want to thank you and wish you all well for that. Also, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Tomorrow is a tremendous day, because we are so fortunate in this country to be able to have freedom to choose our elected officials. And it's an honor and a privilege to do so. Don't ever take that for granted, because in so many other countries in this world, there are people out there that wish that they could do what we're going to be doing tomorrow. May our young people watch this and see how this is happening, because it is something we need to instill into them, the importance of being civic-minded and doing what is constitutionally available to us to do to continue to move forward as a country, county, and as a nation.
Mr. Moore.
Thank you. Christine, I think, is gone. Jennifer, Barbara, Jill. A little poem I learned way back when I was in high school. I want to read it to you. You guys have helped me a lot since my past year and a half. To have succeeded. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Laugh often and love much. To win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children. To earn the approbation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends. To appreciate beauty. To find the best in others. To give of one's self. To leave the world a little better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To have played and laughed with enthusiasm and sung with exultation. To know that one life has breathed easier, have lived. This is to have succeeded. Done that, at least with me. Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it. Very nice. Ms. Ola?
Mind if I go?
I don't.
Conley Road, 40 acres, Downtown Bridge to Section, Henry Road to St. John's to Moywood to Winterville, Bishop High School, the Thames, Baden, Griffin, Rocky, Fountain, Falkland, Delaware, Agricultural States, villages, country stores, families, 23,000 plus students are being represented. The great county students, teachers, parents. Our goal, every child born to grow. Outlaw, John Parsons, City Scott, right down to North Carolina. As a board, we remember Jack Mullins, Dick Coleman, Donna Burke, Michael Pitts, Matthew Wood, always on task with staff members Michael Cowan, Cheryl Olmsted, Delilah Jackson. Pat Johnson, Jim Patricia, Jennifer, outside. Dad is home, 12 pieces. His names are 1AD, 2AD, 3AD, 4AD, 5AD, and 6AD. Let's get out of here, Michelle.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we go into closed session, one, to prevent the disclosure of privileged information under 115C-402 and 115C-321 of the North Carolina General Statutes or regulations, and under 20 U.S.C. 1232G FERPA, the regulations or laws of the United States, and to consult with our attorney to protect the attorney-client privilege, and to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, condition of appointment of a public officer or employee or prospective public officer or employee, or hear or investigate a complaint, charge, or grievance by or against a public officer or employee.
Made the motion, I hear a second.
Second.
Benji seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?